So you might be looking at this Columbus Blue Jackets team right here, and you might be thinking, well, this doesn't look right. Matt Duchene, Artemi Panarin, Cam Atkinson, a 79 overall Oliver Bjorkstrand, Pierre-Luc Dubois back on the team with medium elite potential and 83 overall. This just doesn't look right. Now there's a reason that we have all these players on this team today. We've reset the Columbus Blue Jackets to 2019, and what happened in 2019? Well, this team went all in. Instead of rebuilding and ditching pieces such as Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky, they doubled down, brought in Matt Duchene, and completed one of the greatest upsets of all time, taking down the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now Tampa Bay, they were the President's Trophy winners. They were the clear favorites to win the Stanley Cup, but not only did the Columbus Blue Jackets beat that team, they swept them. So I've taken that team from 2019 and put them in NHL 24, and we're going to see what the next 5 years for them could look like. We have an 86 overall Artemi Panarin, an 86 overall Matt Duchene. We have two great defensemen, Seth Jones, Zach Werenski, and Ryan Murray. He's an 84 overall, and he still has medium elite potential. This roster was taken directly from NHL 19, so this is exactly what everyone's overall should be. So we're going to see what would have happened if this 2019 Columbus Blue Jackets team was in the current day NHL. Now there's one thing that we do have to remember for year number one here. Number one, we have a terrible coach. So don't expect this team to do anything fantastic. The second thing that we have to understand here, this was a wild card team. They beat the President's Trophy winning Tampa Bay Lightning. So don't expect this team to do anything fantastic in year number one. But year number two and year number three, when a couple of the young guys develop, this team could do something special. So while we simulate season number one here, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel because of course we're trying to hit 70K by the end of the month. And if you don't subscribe, we won't be able to do that. So season number one's wrapped up here. And how did the Columbus Blue Jackets do? Well, I told you guys to set your expectations low, but I don't think they were low enough. Like, this team was one of the worst in the entire league. Yeah, we finished 30th, a 34-40-8 record. This team couldn't do anything right. But you know what? I put all of that blame on the coach. You know why? Seth Jones led the way with 57 points here. That means Artemi Panarin did basically nothing this season. 55 points and minus 21. This was the coach's fault. There's no question about it. The coach screwed us up this season. Now you might be wondering, why didn't I just create new files until I got a good coach? I did do that, and this was the best coach we got. I kid you not. I created 15 new files for the Columbus Blue Jackets until I could find us a competent coach. You know what the best we got was? B- overall. I did get one A- overall coach, but he was a veteran and had a 25% team fit. Didn't even know that was possible. I did not realize you could get that low of a team fit. But I feel like it's kind of fitting that in season number one here, the Tampa Bay Lightning are Stanley Cup champions. The year the Columbus Blue Jackets aren't there to stop them, Tampa Bay's coming out on top. But you know what? Things are going to change over the offseason. We're going to bring in a good coach for this team. We're going to completely turn it around. All the young guys are going to get better. Columbus is going to be ready to take over the league next season. Season number one was just a warm-up for the team. The next 4 years are Columbus' time to shine. Okay, I did not realize it was this bad for us, but our coach was so incredibly bad, he dropped to a C overall. I did not think it was possible to have a C overall coach. Yeah, that man is gone. Now, this is the first true season for the Columbus Blue Jackets. We actually have a competent coach here, and I'm expecting this team to do big things. Pierre-Luc Dubois is up to an 86 overall. Alexander Wenberg, he's up to an 86 overall as well. Bjorkstrand's up to an 84. Ryan Dzingle's even up to an 85. Didn't think he'd be one of the top players on this team. Like, we're just in a much better spot than we were before. Even Nick Foligno, 84 overall at 31 years old. If he can hold it down the third line, I'm definitely fine with that. When it comes to the defense, the top two guys are still looking amazing. Well, Ryan Murray, he's up to an 87 overall. We actually have ourselves a really good defense led by this big three right here. And to cap it all off, who's our goaltender? Sergei Bobrovsky. We know this man can hold it down. Also, Merzlikins isn't supposed to be the backup. It's supposed to be Korpisalo. I'll go ahead and fix that real quick. Like, even though I went through the effort of removing all these players from the Columbus Blue Jackets, somehow some of them are still here. No clue. But Korpisalo, he's up to an 84 overall, is going to be a great backup for us. No question about it. So we'll simulate up to the trade deadline, and I'm expecting this team's going to be a lot better this season. I think we could be top 5 in the entire league. So you know what? I'm making the executive decision here, and this is going to be a 6-year rebuild. Season number one was just the Columbus Blue Jackets adapting to the new NHL, but now they figured it out. 5th in the entire league, a 33-20-8 record. This team's going to be one of the best in the entire league, and they're looking to hoist the Stanley Cup at the end of the year. But you know what? I am surprised at one thing. Cam Atkinson leading the way with 49 points here. Artemi Panarin, where are you? Like, you're an 88 overall with all the X factors in the world. I'm expecting you to be a bit better. Matt Duchene, 43 points, but +1 definitely isn't good. Like, the plus minuses on this team are a bit concerning, I'm not going to lie. But you know what? The bottom 6 guys are definitely stepping up here. Pierre-Luc Dubois, although he's not a bottom 6 guy, he is an 86 overall. He's been holding it down that second line. And then when it comes to goaltending, perfect from Sergei Bobrovsky. 27 wins, 3 shots, a 921, a 255. And Korpisalo, look at his numbers as the backup. If only this team could score more goals. If we figure out a way to score more goals, this team's going to be at the top of the league in no time. So this may be one of the most ridiculous seasons I've ever seen. The New York Rangers are first in the entire league, followed by the Colorado Avalanche, Pittsburgh Penguins, Edmonton Oilers, Washington Capitals, and Columbus Blue Jackets. Not too far behind the Columbus Blue Jackets was the New Jersey Devils, 7th in the entire league. Meanwhile, the Carolina Hurricanes, who finished 8th overall in the entire league, missed the playoffs. You're telling me the team that finished 8th in the entire league didn't get into the playoffs? That's how loaded the East is right now. It's so good you can finish with a 35, 31, and 6 record, and that's not good enough to get you into the playoffs. It's absolutely ridiculous out here. And I shouldn't even say it's just the Eastern Conference. It's that Metro Division. The New York Rangers, Pittsburgh Penguins, Washington Capitals, New Jersey Devils. Out of the top 7 teams, 5 of them are coming from the Metro. That division is absolutely loaded right now. It makes absolutely no sense. And that's the only reason why Columbus didn't finish higher in the standings. We have to take on those teams every other matchup, so it's been a grind in the entire season. Cam Atkinson, 64 points here. Ryan Dzingel, 60. Never did I think that we would see a guy like Ryan Dzingel outscoring Artemi Panarin, but here we are. Alex Wenberg, 58 overall. He's up to an 87. He's got 3 X factors so far. He might be moving into the top 6 next season. Meanwhile, when it comes to a guy like Pierre-Luc Dubois, he's moved up to an 87. Doesn't have any X factors left, but I think he will at the beginning of next season. And with this team being as good as they are, we gotta look at Sergei Bobrovsky's numbers. I already know they're looking amazing. 34 wins, 4 shouts, and 922 and a 254. It's time for us to start the dynasty. We have 4 years to win 4 Stanley Cups, and it's gotta start right here. And you know what? This is the perfect way to start it off. The Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round. So these two teams are actually very evenly matched. I don't care if the Columbus Blue Jackets are a wildcard team. They actually have a better record than the Toronto Maple Leafs right now. And you know what? That's showing. We have a 3-0 series lead. Are we really going to sweep the Toronto Maple Leafs in the first round? Unfortunately, it's not going to be a sweep here, but it will be a quick 5-game series. As long as we don't choke a 3-0 series lead, what is this team doing? No, this is ridiculous. Like Columbus, I'm giving you the best team you have had in decades, and you're telling me you're going to blow a 3-0 series lead. We're picking up the first 2 goals of the game. We're going to double down the second. We're exchanging goals. Pierre-Luc Dubois is picking up 1. William Nylander is going to be picking up 1. Just close it out in the third period. Don't have a massive choke here. I don't think we deserve to win this game right here. If I'm being completely honest, like we were up 3-0 in this series and we had to go to game 7. I feel like Toronto deserved to win that one. But you know what? We're going to take it. We're off to the second round. But this is the matchup we've all been waiting for. The Columbus Blue Jackets and Tampa Bay Lightning. 2 great teams here. Columbus, they were ahead of Tampa in the standings. But you know what? Tampa has that experience. They have that grit. This is going to be a great matchup. But based on what happened the last time these 2 teams meet, Tampa's definitely got a chip on their shoulder. So Columbus and Tampa, you already know this is going to be a historic series right here. We're winning the first game, we're dropping the second, but we're taking the third. So we have a 2-1 series lead. Let's make that a 3-1 series lead. Is Columbus really going to make it to the conference finals in year number 2 here? But you know what? If we want to do that, we can't blow a 3-1 series lead. Close out in game 6. Why does this team love game 7? I don't understand it. Like, this team could just easily close out in game 5, even close out in game 6. But nope, we have to go to game 7. We have to go to game 7 every single time. Columbus, just play some good defense here and we'll be all right. It's a scoreless first period. In the second, what's going to be happening here? We're going to be picking up 2 goals. Nick Foligno and Matt Duchene are holding it down. Nikita Kucherov is going to be responding for the Tampa Bay Lightning. A great third period is all we need here. And you know what? We're going to be getting that. Nick Foligno is going to be picking up another goal here, and that's going to be the game winner. Nikita Kucherov is responding seconds later, but who cares? The Columbus Blue Jackets are off to the conference finals. So we made it all the way to the conference finals here. I was not expecting that based on how season number 1 went, but you know what? We know what the Columbus Blue Jackets are capable of now. We have the Washington Capitals to take on next, 4 games away from their first ever Stanley Cup appearance. Columbus is rolling right now, and with the way this team looks, I don't think we're going to stop anytime soon. I mean, what am I talking about? We've gone to 2 game 7s after having a 3-0 series lead and a 3-1 series lead. Clearly, we are not rolling. So I think we all know what's going to happen here. We're going to get a 3-1 series lead and then somehow choke this away. We're in the Stanley Cup final. I'm just yapping. We really just swept the Washington Capitals here, and the Columbus Blue Jackets are now in the Stanley Cup final. If only they kept this team together. Now, I have no clue how this actually happened, but here we are. The Columbus Blue Jackets in the Stanley Cup final in year number 2 of the rebuild. Year number 1 was a wash, so this is basically the first true season of us competing, and with us competing, this is where we've made it, the Stanley Cup final. The Columbus Blue Jackets have proved they're one of the best teams in the entire league, but the Colorado Avalanche have done the same. This is going to be a great final matchup. So the Columbus Blue Jackets are on the biggest heater of all time. We won 5 straight games heading into the Stanley Cup final. Unfortunately, we're going to be losing game 1 8-2, so you thought things were going bad for us. Nope, the offense woke up. 7 goals, 6 goals, 7 goals here. We have a 3-1 series lead. Just close it out. We are not doing this. We are not blowing a 3-1 series lead. The Columbus Blue Jackets Stanley Cup champions, winning 5-3 in game number 6. Now, this team's something special. Winning in season number 2 here. We have 3 more seasons to win, 3 more Stanley Cups, and I think we're going to be able to do it. Like, over the next 3 years, nothing about this team is getting worse. Wenberg, 21 points here. He's up to an 88 overall. Zach Werenski, he's up to a 90. Nick Foligno, he's an 84 overall, and he's not going to be regressing. Zach Werenski had 20 points. Nick Foligno had 19. Ryan Dzingel, 19 points. This guy's a big-time player. Never would have expected that. Seth Jones is looking great. Artemi Panarin's not even playing like a superstar right now, and we're still winning. Cam Atkinson, 14 points. Matt Duchene, 14. Pierre-Luc Dubois, 13. He's up to an 87 overall, 5 X factors. Yeah, this team's going back to back, no question about it, especially with this man in between the pipes. Sergei Bobrovsky, 15 wins, 1 shutout, a 918, a 266, and look at Korpisalo when he came in as the backup in that one game, a 961 and a 123. This man played in 48 minutes after Sergei Bobrovsky sucked in the first half of the game, but this man held it down and we were able to win that game. So between these two goaltenders and everyone sticking around, we're creating a dynasty. So we're seeing big improvements with the team here. Pierre-Luc Dubois, he's up to an 89 overall, and he's got a handful of X factors. We're going to see Alex Wenberg, 88 overall. He's got a few X factors as well. Matt Duchene, he's got 4. Ryan Dzingel even has 1 and an 86 overall. Who would have thought? Bjorkstrand, he's up to an 85 overall. Cam Atkinson's an 85. Josh Anderson, he's even up to an 84 overall. We have some amazing forward depth here. Now, what a logical person would do is not change the lines whatsoever. We just want a Stanley Cup. But I am not a logical person. Pierre-Luc Dubois, Artemi Panarin, Cam Atkinson, you're going to be the top line. Bjorkstrand, Wenberg, and Ryan Dzingel, you're going to be the second line. And then Matt Duchene, I'm moving you down to the third line here. I just really want Pierre-Luc Dubois playing top line minutes here. I mean, we even could do something like this, but then Cam Atkinson has to play center here. I mean, we could probably find a way to make this work, because then we get a playmaker on this top line. I mean, I technically could put Wenberg up here. That could be the move as well. We have a couple guys out of position here, but you know what? I think we can make it work. So I made a couple quick tweaks here, because you know what? I want to make sure that this is our top 6. These are our top guys, and I want them on the ice all the time. When it comes to the defense, Zach Werenski and Seth Jones is the first pairing. We have Ryan Murray on the second pairing. Look at this man, up to an 88 overall. Our defense is amazing, but you know what? Our goaltending just got a little bit better. Not only is Sergei Bobrovsky up to a 91 overall, and Korpisalo is an 85 now, but he's got his superstar X factor. This man's locked in now. It's time for us to take over the league. We got to finish this dynasty off. 3 more years to win 3 more Stanley Cups, and might as well win a President's Trophy or 2. Yeah, so you remember that bright idea that Stick on the Ice had about changing the lineup even though we won a Stanley Cup last season? What was bro cooking? 15th in the entire league, a 29, 25, and 9 record. We're going back to the old lines. The defense is really good here. We're just not scoring goals. So we're going back to last season's lines, and things are going to be changing here. Alex Wenberg, 46 points. And I actually did change the lines like 2-3 weeks ago. And since then, the team's turned it around. But Wenberg, 46 points here. Artemi Panarin, 43. Matt Duchene, 43. The team's been playing decent ever since I changed those lines. But yeah, the first half of the season wasn't helping us in the slides. Sergei Bobrovsky, 22 wins, 4 shots, a 911 and a 280. Yeah, we're changing back to those original lines, and then we're going to repeat. So I went ahead and went back to our original lines for last season, and what happened immediately after that? The Columbus Blue Jackets started playing way better. A 41, 31, and 10 record. We should have just kept the same lines for both seasons. I don't know why I decided, you know what, let's completely change things up after winning a Stanley Cup. A reasonable person would have kept the lines together, but as we know, very unreasonable here. 59 points, 25 goals, 34 points for Panarin. He really hasn't been that elite player I was looking for here, but hey, if we can win Stanley Cups, it doesn't matter. Wenberg, 58 points, Matt Duchene, 57, Ryan Dzingel, 56. Zach Werenski, he's going to be leading the defense here with 51 points. I'm actually curious on what Ryan Murray's been doing. Ryan Murray, you got that medium elite potential at an 88 overall. 35 points actually isn't too bad, but I am expecting a bit more. Then again, you are playing second pairing minutes. Sergei Bobrovsky, you've been elite since the trade deadline. 33 wins here, 4 shots, a 915, a 268. I know you're able to step it up in the postseason. That's exactly what I need you to do immediately. We got ourselves the Carolina Hurricanes in the first round. They were a 53 win team. Clearly, we're the underdog in this matchup, but we are the reigning Stanley Cup champions, and that does mean a bit. So the Blue Jackets know what it takes to win a Stanley Cup here. We just need to lock in the most important games. We're winning game 1. That's a big one. Yeah, this team's actually going to do something here. We're really going to win 4 Stanley Cups in a row. A sweep over the Carolina Hurricanes to start the postseason. 53 win team, by the way. There's no reason we should have won this matchup. No, like real talk, the Carolina Hurricanes were second in the entire league. A 53, 25, and 4 record. Their offense was amazing. Their defense was spectacular, but it was good enough. The Columbus Blue Jackets are on top. So a nice sweep over the Carolina Hurricanes is putting fear into a bunch of teams in the league. They didn't realize the Columbus Blue Jackets were still that team. We're still the reigning Stanley Cup champions. The next team that's going to learn the hard way, the New York Rangers. Let's take them out in a sweep as well. So New York, it's time for you to learn the hard way that the Columbus Blue Jackets are still the best team in the entire league. Are we going for back-to-back sweeps here? Take them out in game 4. Unfortunately, that's not going going to be happening. We're not going to be winning 8 in a row here. But you know what? It's time to start a new winning streak. Okay, don't blow a 3-0 series lead here. Columbus, what are you doing? Why do you always do this? 3-0 series lead and we're off to game 7 again. This is ridiculous. This is honestly ridiculous here. Here we go, game 7, and we're allowing the first 2 goals of the game. What are the Columbus Blue Jackets doing? They're sparking a comeback. That's exactly what they're doing here. Can we close it out in the 3rd period? No, we can't. Artemi Panarin from the New York Rangers is going to be scoring. Here we go. Overtime to decide who's off to the conference finals, and Nick Foligno is that man. He always steps up in the big games. That's actually a fact though. In every single important game we've played so far, Nick Foligno's always stepped up. Moving on to the next round, we have the best team in the entire league, the Florida Panthers. Now this should be our toughest matchup, but then again, we beat the 2nd seeded Carolina Hurricanes in a sweep, so why not sweep the Florida Panthers here? We're winning the first 2 games, a 3-1 series lead, but at one point that was a 3-0 series lead, so do not choke this away. Back-to-back Stanley Cup appearances. Columbus, you should have kept the core together. So we've made it all the way back to the Stanley Cup final. The Columbus Blue Jackets are going to be taking on the Winnipeg Jets this time. Ever since we went back to the original lines this team's been rocking, they've been absolutely unstoppable. There's been no team that's been able to compete with us. We're clearly the best team in the entire league right now. I don't care what our record was. We're the reigning Stanley Cup champions. And until somebody beats us, we're still the champs. Now, I've been running my mouth quite a bit for us being a 41-win team. But you know what? Ever since we went back to those original lines, we've been unstoppable. A 3-1 series lead against the Winnipeg Jets. Don't choke it away. Just close it out. I don't want to go to another game 7. The Columbus Blue Jackets are going back to back here. We've won 2 straight Stanley Cups. Let's go for the 3-peat and then the 4-peat and certify ourselves as a dynasty. Like, it's actually ridiculous how good this team's been. Like, if we didn't have a bad coach in season number 1, we might have been able to win 5 Stanley Cups in a row. Nick Foligno, 21 points. Matt Duchene's picking up 20. Pierre-Luc Dubois, 19. And these young guys are going to keep on getting better. Panarin, only 18 points here, but you know what? You've been one of the key pieces to the team. Zach Werenski, you've been great. Ryan Dzingel, who would have thought you would be a superstar like this? It just doesn't make sense. Bjorkstrand's picking up 15 points. We have amazing scoring depth. And then when it comes to goaltending, magnificent. Sergei Bobrovsky, 16 wins, 0 shots, a 920 and a 269. We just went back-to-back with the Blue Jackets, but I want to go back-to-back again and make that a 3-peat. I also guess it wouldn't hurt if we looked at who won the Conn Smythe. In the 2024-2025 season, it's going to be Alex Wennberg. Meanwhile, in this postseason run, it's Nick Foligno. And honestly, this man deserves it more than anyone. The way this man has always stepped up in the elimination games, I think you can make the argument he should have won the Conn Smythe in back-to-back years. Alright, so we're not going to mess things up here. We're literally running the exact same lines. Cam Atkinson, I don't really care if you drop to an 83 overall. I need you on that first line alongside Artemi Panarin and Matt Duchene. When it comes to that second line, Bjorkstrand, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Ryan Dzingel, I'm expecting you guys to do big things here. Like, Bjorkstrand's up to an 87 overall with 3 X factors. That man's going to be a star. Wenberg's an 88. He's beside Nick Foligno, who's dropped to an 83 overall, but we're not going to worry. Boone Jenner, you're an 81 overall. I just need you to hold it down the third line. When it comes to the fourth line, these guys just got to keep on doing what they normally do. When it comes to the defense, no changes here. Seth Jones, Zach Werenski, Ryan Murray, they're going to be the top players here. And then when it comes to goaltending, you already know Sergei Bobrovsky is that man. 90 overall with the superstar X factor. He's won back-to-back Stanley Cups as our starting goaltender, and he's looking to make it 3 straight here. Meanwhile, Korpisalo, as an 85 overall, you're an amazing backup, so just keep on holding it down there. It's very unfortunate that you can't be the starter here, but you know what? We have a prime Sergei Bobrovsky. I can't turn on him. Now, I will say, although the Columbus Blue Jackets are an amazing team here, and we've won back-to-back Stanley Cups, can we win a game in overtime? We have 10 OT losses at the trade deadline. Over the past 2 seasons, this team has been unable to win any games in overtime. Why is that happening? Like, I couldn't tell you why we can't win games in overtime, but you know what? Artemi Panarin, you have 62 points so far. I think 62 points might be a career high for you. Yes, it is. 62 points is the most points you've recorded so far in a season, and we're only at the trade deadline. You're lighting the lamp this season. Bjorkstrand's looking great. Pierre-Luc Dubois is looking fantastic as well. And then when it comes to goaltending, Sergei Bobrovsky, you might have taken a slight step back here, but we already know we can win with you. Like, you've been able to win 2 Stanley Cups. Now it's time for you to get your 3rd. When the season came to a close, the Columbus Blue Jackets lost a couple more games in overtime. Who'd have seen that coming? 8th in the entire league, a 43, 27, and 12 record, but I'm not concerned in the slightest. We're the reigning Stanley Cup champions. When push comes to shove, this team's going to step up in the big time games. Panarin, 80 points, that's a career high. Bjorkstrand's got 68 points. Pierre-Luc Dubois, 66. Ryan Dzingel, 65. He was locking it down in that second line. And then Sergei Bobrovsky, we know you're that guy. We know these guys are going to show up in the big time games. We have to start doing that right now, though. We got the New York Rangers in the first round. It's time for the Columbus Blue Jackets to complete the 3-peat. So it's time for the Columbus Blue Jackets to lock in. A nice sweep would be a great way to start off the first round here. We're winning game number 1, but we're dropping games 2 and 3. Whatever you do, don't drop game 4 here. We can't be trailing 3-1 in the series. Luckily, we're going to be winning that game right there. So game 5 is going to be the next big one, and we're going to be dropping that, facing elimination in game 6. I don't like that. like that whatsoever. So we got ourselves game 6 elimination. The Columbus Blue Jackets are yet to be in this position, trailing in the series. But you already know we're going to win the big time games here. 2 big first period goals are going to help us win this game as long as we close out in the third period. And that's exactly what's happening. We're off to game 7. So here we go, game 7 of the first round. The Columbus Blue Jackets taking on the New York Rangers. Cam Atkinson's picking up the big first goal of the game, but unfortunately we're going to see Panarin from the Rangers and Zibanejad from the Rangers both picking up goals here. We're trailing entering the third period, and it doesn't look like we're going to make the comeback here. Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to pick up a late power play goal, but it's not enough. The Columbus Blue Jackets, after winning back-to-back Stanley Cups, looking to complete the three-peat, falling in the first round here. That's a tough way to go out. We have one more season to win one more Stanley Cup. This team's got to walk away with at least 3 cups, right? So to make this season even worse, what's going to happen in the Stanley Cup final? We're going to see the Toronto Maple Leafs seeing success. No, that ruins this season for me. If we're going to be losing in the first round, the Toronto Maple Leafs can't be winning a Stanley Cup here. That's just not right. But as we know, we got one more year to win a Stanley Cup. Unfortunately, the team just didn't perform here. Pierre-Luc Dubois, you were actually great. 5 goals, 1 assist, 6 points in 7 games. You were that guy for us. Everyone else just wasn't good enough here. The defense wasn't good. The goaltending was spectacular. It was the offense that let us down, plain and simple. Sergei Bobrovsky, nothing more you can do. So we have one final season to win another Stanley Cup. And since we didn't win last season and lost in the first round, it's time to change things up here. Wenberg, Bjorkstrand, and Panarin are going to be the top line. Ryan Dzingel, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Josh Anderson are going to hold down the second line. Cam Atkinson, Matt Duchene, and Boone Jenner are going to be the third line. And you know what? We're just going to rock with this fourth line right here. We got some good players. As long as they play their role, we're going to be all right. The defense hasn't changed whatsoever. Our top pairing is still our top pairing here. Ryan Murray, I am very surprised you never got an X Factor. Like, bro's an 88 overall, 28 years old, 0 X Factors. They're disrespecting our mans. When it comes to Sergei Bobrovsky and Korpisalo, just keep doing the things you usually do. Like, besides season number 1 and last season, you guys have been phenomenal, so just do your regular things. We know this team can win a Stanley Cup. They've done it twice before, but we got to get one more before we finish this video off. We got to cap it off with one final Stanley Cup. Now, this season was just incredibly unfortunate for the team, because I do believe we actually had one of our best seasons, except every team in the NHL was just elite this season. We had 11 teams with 100 points or more. How did that even happen? Columbus is 11th with a 47-29-6 record. This record right here is 11th in the entire league, the second wildcard spot. And with us being in the second wildcard spot, guess who we get to take on in the first round? The 58-win Washington Capitals. How does that work? I have no clue. The Columbus Blue Jackets were an incredible team this season. There's no question about it. But yeah, it was just a tough season for the boys. Pierre-Luc Dubois, 80 points, 33 goals, 47 assists. Ryan Dzingel, second on the team in scoring, 70 points. What's going on here? Alex Wenberg, 67. All of these players above Artemi Panarin. And who is 3 points back of Artemi Panarin? Josh Anderson. This was a season indeed. Don't really know what to say. The defense was the big difference maker though. Sergei Bobrovsky, 36 wins, 4 shots, a .904 and a .308. I don't know what's happened the past couple of years. Maybe you're not the goaltender you used to be. But you know what? We have one last chance at winning a Stanley Cup here, and it starts with this matchup right here. Bobrovsky, I'm going to need you to return to your prime. We have the Washington Capitals up first. Let's make a statement against this team. A quick sweep would definitely prove we're one of the best. And obviously, when I say a quick sweep would prove we're one of the best, that's us sweeping the Washington Capitals, not us getting swept to the Washington Capitals. Thought I'd just clarify that real quick. But you know what? It's been a tight series so far. We split the series with the Washington Capitals. Game 5 is going to be a big one, and we're coming out on top. We're picking up 5 goals in that game. Can we close out in game number 6 here? Yes, we can. We just took down the number 1 team in the NHL. Columbus is here to compete. So after taking down the best team in the NHL, we get a rematch against the New York Rangers. Now, I don't want to just beat the New York Rangers. I want to smoke them in every single game. Let's make it 8-0 in all 4 games. Let's take them out in a sweep, and then let's score 32 goals in the process. So we got a lot of momentum right now, and I don't see that stopping against the New York Rangers. It's immediately stopping here. We're dropping game 1 and game 3, but don't worry. We're winning game 2, and we're going to be winning game 4 here. So game 5 is going to be the big game of this series. We can't lose that one again, and it looks like we're losing that one again. Last time we took on the Rangers, we were able to respond in game 6, but we couldn't respond in game 7. This time we're going to be winning both games. Never in a million years did I think I would say these words, but I actually believe in the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're going to be picking up 2 goals in the first period. It's going to be a scoreless second, so it's going to be a tight one to the very finish. And who's going to be taking this game? Well, it's going to be the Columbus Blue Jackets. Cam Atkinson's picking up an insurance goal. So until the end of time, I'm going to believe in the Columbus Blue Jackets. We're exchanging goals in the first period. In the second, things are not looking good for us. We can't be folding in the second period once again here. This team has to have a massive bounce back third period, and unfortunately it's not going to be happening. Although we picked up 2 goals, the Rangers are picking up 2 goals as well. We're falling in the second round, but to make it even worse, we're falling to the Rangers once again. Now this was certainly a tough way to finish it out. The Rangers would make it all the way to the Stanley Cup final, but they're going to fall in a 7-game series to the Chicago Blackhawks. Season number 1 was definitely a tough one for the team, but in the 2 seasons after that, we certified ourselves as one of the best in the entire league, winning back-to-back Stanley Cups. Things were looking great. Panarin, you had 14 points here. Zach Werenski, you had 12. Duchesne, 10. Ryan Dzingel, 10. Seth Jones, 10. When it came to goaltending, Sergei Bobrovsky, you know what? I'm expecting a bit more, but these numbers aren't even that bad. A 920 and a 278. The Rangers were certainly the better team, and I'm not really surprised that they won. And just like that, with the postseason wrapping up here, our 5 years are complete. Really, this team actually exceeded expectations. I did not think we'd be winning 1 Stanley Cup, let alone 2. Artemi Panarin, you were a massive disappointment. We're not really counting year 1, we had a terrible coach, but 55 points, 59 points, 80 points, 63 points, I'm expecting you to be way better. Zach Werenski, you kind of did your thing. I mean, I can't really complain with what you did. 50 points, 49 points, 51, 49. You were pretty consistent the entire time. Matt Duchesne, you know what? You were all right. Kind of expecting a bit more from you, but you know what? You helped us win 2 Stanley Cups. I can't really complain. Ryan Dzingel, you were him. Plain and simple. Like, you were that guy. A dominant force. Like, you were better than Artemi Panarin for most of this rebuild. And that makes no sense to me. Pierre-Luc Dubois, you turned out to be the highest overall player, sitting at a 91 here. 80 points, 66 points, 49 points, 50 points. Who would have thought you would be an absolute beast like this? You actually lived up to your potential. Who would have thought? And Alex Wenberg, you know what? You might not have stepped up in the postseason, but you were a pretty consistent player for us, sitting around the 58, 60 point mark. This team definitely had a bunch of great scoring depth, and our defense was amazing. One of the best goaltenders in the league in Sergei Bobrovsky, but in those final 2 years, we just couldn't close it out against the Rangers.